Hi, this is Patti Miner, and I just got back from Italy, so I have learned a few things. I have three great takeaways from Italy. I learned a lot about, like when we were in Rome, it's beautiful. They have 70% of the world's art is from Italy, and the second place is China. It's amazing. The art that is there, the Renaissance period. The Medicis was a huge, very rich families that would commission artworks from, for Rembrandt and Michelangelo and some of the greats. To see their art was just amazing. The Vatican was amazing. There are over 1,000 decorated chapels in Rome that are just gorgeous. In the ceilings, everything. They're just absolutely ornate, gold, just gorgeous. And the art was just, the architecture is even art. Everything's art there. So it was just amazing. While I was there, I saw a statue of Galileo. And they talked to us about Galileo, how he was the first one to realize that the earth revolved around the sun. Everybody had thought the sun revolved around the earth before that. And he learned a lot of things from mathematics. He was a great scientist and father. But the people in power at that day did not believe him, and they thought it was heresy for him to say any of those scientific discoveries. So they actually put him in jail, or actually under house arrest. He couldn't leave his house the rest of his life. So people would have to come and visit him. And he was a great philosopher, but he never gave up. He kept learning, he kept growing, he kept doing. Even though he was in prison, in house arrest, at his home, he still grew and developed and discovered some of the most amazing things, even in his own home. So he never gave up. Okay. The other thing I learned was the Leaning Tower of Pisa is a wonder. Okay. It wouldn't be famous if it wasn't leaning, because the whole place in Florence is all about towers, towers, towers. If you had a tall tower, you had more power. You were showing that you had power by your tower. That's just the way the people back in the day did. And so the Leaning Tower, they built it incorrectly, and they had made some mistakes, like we all do. But they didn't want to waste all that money, time, and effort, and so they figured out a way to fortify it and keep building it higher, and fortify it and build it higher, and they kept fortifying it and built it higher. So out of their weak things, it became strong. And they never gave up. They just kept going. And they have the Leaning Tower of Pisa that is now very famous. And it's amazing. It's like really at an angle, and it's still standing, and it survives today, all these hundreds of years. Anyway, so they never gave up. That's another thing. And the other wonder was Venice. Venice completely, I did not realize this. The reason why we even went was my gondolas. I wanted to be in a gondola in Venice on my bucket list. And so, yay, check. I was so excited. Anyway, so riding the gondolas was an amazing experience. I kept thinking, pinch me, am I really here? Oh my gosh. And we had musicians in our gondola. It was wonderful. Anyway, in Venice, it completely floods. Like the St. Mark's Chapel was amazing, the cathedral. And last week, the week before, the week that we were there, the streets were great, and the walkways were wonderful, and you could get into the chapel, and it was all wonderful. There were little patches of water all over, and I wondered what that was, because last week it was flooded. Nobody could walk on the streets or go in the chapel. It was completely flooded, and it floods every once in a while. Next week it's going to be hot, so it changes and rotates. But the people just go with the flow, literally go with the flow of the water. If the water's there, they're, I'm sure it's kind of hard to ask for sugar from your neighbor across the street because it's water. I don't know how they do, but it's absolutely amazing how they go with the flow. If it's flooded, they just deal with it, and they have their boats. And if it isn't, then they have their mercantile, and they have everything portable. They can pack it up, and they can bring it out, and pack it up and bring it out. Stores everything. It's all portable. It's all rearrangeable. They just go with the flow. They never give up. They still live their wonderful lives for all these years, and rather come heck or high water, I guess you could say. Anyway, so they have this, right off of Venice is this island of Burano, which is amazing. It's known for its brightly colored houses, and they have all these little, the color of your house matched the color of your boat, because when a boat would be out in the tide, if it would get destroyed or if the people would die or whatever, other people would be out there. They could see who it was by the color of their boat. So the color of their boat matches the bright color of their houses. And so it was the fisher, all the men were fishermen and all the women stayed home, and it has beautiful lace. But it's amazing how they dealt with their situation too. They have brightly colored houses, brightly colored boats. They figured out a way to do it. You just never give up. You figure out a way, you make it, you do it, you go for it. So for your dreams, for your goals, for your ambitions, for the things that you're going for, never give up. Even though there are difficulties, even though there are problems, you can still succeed. You can still go further. Whether there's floods, whether you're under house arrest, whether you have a Leaning Tower of Pisa, or whether you have brightly colored houses or floods, you can still endure anything and never give up. I hope this has added some value to your life.